What structures around the world? That's right, around the world. What structures are linked to the architecture for the lost Tartarian Empire? The Leaning Tower of Pisa? The White House? Just about every building in the old cityscape, like in Glasgow's Merchant City, if there are disused and covered over underground chambers that are hundreds of years old, then there is a suspicion that a literal cover-up is in place. What are some of the architecture that you guys have noticed that appear to descend into old and submerged parts of towns and cities across Europe, Asia, Russia, and even America? Does the Tartarian mudflood hypothesis seem to make sense to you? And what could be the source of this mudflood, I hear you ask? Check this out. Satellite imagery of Western Africa, particularly the region around the Richat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara and the western coastline. This does suggest that dramatic geological activities took place here in the very distant past. Maybe not that distant, maybe 200 or 300 years ago, just maybe. Features like eroded escarpments, sedimentary layers, and what appear to be large depositional fans. This hints at ancient landslides or erosion on a colossal scale took place here. The coastline west of the Sahara, extending into the Atlantic Ocean, this shows deposits that could be remnants of ancient material transported by water or gravity. The Sahara was once a lush, green region with rivers, lakes and ecosystems capable of significant erosion and sediment deposition. But this all ended in the distant past, and nobody understands why. Furthermore, the ocean currents near the coast of Western Africa could have distributed sediments far into the Atlantic, creating underwater plains and contributing to coastal changes. While these features could be the result of natural erosion, tectonic shifts, or ancient climate events, their scale feeds into theories of global cataclysms. Could a slip like this have caused the Tartarian mudflood? The Tartarian mudflood theory posits that a sudden, worldwide catastrophe buried much of a supposed advanced civilization under layers of mud, with only the upper portions of their structures visible today. While mainstream bampots, like scientists, do not support this theory, proponents speculate about geological and astronomical triggers, such as a massive landslide. If a landslip of unprecedented scale occurred in Western Africa, it could have sent vast amounts of sediment into the atmosphere and water systems. This potentially created localised floods and mudfloods. However, the scale required to cover entire continents with mud seems geologically implausible without a larger trigger. A landslip of sufficient size could displace ocean water. This would trigger tsunamis and sediment redistribution, but it would primarily affect coastal regions rather than inland regions where mudflood evidence is claimed. Some historians and researchers have speculated, like Jimmy from Bright Insight, that the Western African's coast, particularly the Richat structure, was part of the lost city of Atlantis. If true, any catastrophic event in this region could align with the narrative of a global disaster. Western Africa is adjacent to the mid-Atlantic ridge. This is a tectonically active region. Significant geological activity here could have triggered underwater landslides, tsunamis, or other disruptions. Tartaria, or Tartary, refers to a vast region in Central Asia, Siberia, and parts of Eastern Europe that are depicted on old maps from the 13th to the 18th centuries. The mainstream narrative for this anomaly is that European cartographers used this term broadly for areas that they knew little about, often labelling the territories of various nomadic peoples like the Mongols and the Tatars as Tartary. Over time, as geographical knowledge expanded, the name fell out of use. In this sense, Tartaria was not a single empire, but a catch-all term for many ethnic groups and tribal confederations, such as the Golden Horde, the Kazan, Kante, and others. Others say no. Others think that Tartaria was an advanced civilization erased from history, but historians attribute its disappearance from maps to the region's fragmentation and reclassification under emerging nation states. Strangely, in a Romanian village, also called Tartaria, it was famous for its discovery of the Tartaria tablets in 1961. These tablets are Neolithic artefacts bearing inscriptions believed by some to be amongst the earliest forms of writing and communication predating Sumerian writing. The name Tartaria likely predates modern associations with Tartary and might be derived from local linguistic roots. The Tartaria tablets have fueled debates about ancient civilizations, with some suggesting they hint at advanced cultures in prehistoric Europe. One commentator asked, why were Tartaria flags given out for sandcastles in the United States of America in the 1970s? Though this is a quirky, less documented anecdote, if true, it might have been a playful nod to the romanticised or exonerised view of Tartary as a mysterious and ancient land. In the 20th century, some historical names were sometimes used for whimsical or creative purposes detached from their original context. It could also reflect a cultural fascination with lost or imagined civilizations popularised in literature and popular culture during that time. Could the New World Order be mocking the old? The notion of the New World Order often ties into conspiracy theories about global control and the rewriting of history. Some theorists argue that the erasure of Tartary from maps and history could symbolise the suppression of alternative historical narratives. Many supporters of this theory point to grand and mysterious structures around the world, claiming that they are remnants of the Tartarian civilizations. And examples of this include star forts found globally. These intricate fortifications have sparked theories about advanced geometry and construction techniques, and also the World's Fair architecture. Ornate buildings from the 19th and early 20th century, like those in Chicago and Paris, are sometimes linked to Tartaria. This is due to their scale and sudden disappearance, often dismantled after the fairs had taken place. Many believe that ancient Tartarians had advanced technology, citing structures like the Forbidden City in Beijing or even the Kremlin in Moscow as Tartarian designs. The World's Fairs were large international exhibitions held from the mid-19th century to the early 20th century. They showcased advancements in technology, art and culture, often featuring grand and ornate buildings which were temporary but monumental in scale. Tartarian researchers argue that the ornate, massive structures of the World's Fairs could not have been built in the short time frames claimed. For example, Chicago's White City was reportedly built in 18 months. They point to the intricacy, scale and symmetry as evidence of advanced, lost technology. And since most of these buildings were dismantled shortly after the fairs, these theorists speculate that this was part of a deliberate effort to erase Tartarian history. The rapid destruction is seen as a cover-up, hiding a narrative of an ancient global empire. Some of these enthusiasts even tie Nikola Tesla's work on wireless electricity to the energy domes of Tartarian architecture, claiming that these buildings were power stations, and these include the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Tartaria World's Fair connection is a mix of wonder, scepticism and yearning for a forgotten golden age. While modern scholars dismiss these theories as speculative fiction, they underscore humanity's enduring curiosity about our past, and the idea of a massive landslip in Western Africa as a potential cause of a mudflood is an intriguing speculation, blending geological curiosity with the Tartarian mudflood theory. But what do you guys think about this? Comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.